This is CyberEric with another gameplay overview. This is for Highguard, the latest game from Wildlight, who has been having some issues in the past. But before I start, please like and subscribe. It is appreciated for this video. So what I'm going to do is explain kind of what Highguard is. Let's start with the training grounds here, kind of helps you explain what the game is. And then I'll go over some of the mechanics, particularly for this. So obviously,
Here we are.
Highguard is a first-person shooter. You're going to running around, you can sprint, aim down the sights, shoot, etc., etc. Again, I can't explain exactly what a first-person shooter is because you have to have the very basics of this. But basically, it's a competent first-person shooter. It works extremely well. Has melee actions. You can aim down the sights, as you see here. You can change sights for like longer scopes.
Now try the grenade.
And again, the tutorial is going to kind of show you how to kind of move around, different mechanics. You obviously have grenades, explosives, etc., and a couple of weapons that I'll show a little bit later. And obviously, there's obviously different classes. One of those things for this game is there's different weapons, and there's different rarity, as a lot of these live service games include. So, for example, go here. The blue chests will basically mean armor. It's gonna be in there, so you're gonna get like a chest armor here, some wall reinforcements, and the red chests will give you weapons, and those weapons have different rarities, with blue being the second level, then purple, then golden for the higher end. And as you progress through the game in the different phases, and I'll go over that a little bit later in the video, you basically increase the rarity of the weapons, better gear, better shields, and that's how the game progresses. And you're basically going around in different phases, and then basically you're going to be running around this open map with the horse or shooting enemies, and you, as enemies attack you, you're basically going to be able to actually eliminate them. And usually there's the main mode is a 3v3 mode, and I'll explain what the game is in a second. And there's like a newer 5v5 mode, and also a ranked mode for this game. When you defeat an enemy, they'll drop like this health orb. That's basically their orb for their soul, if you will, or something. And you get to basically eliminate them so that they have to respawn. And for your teammates, you can revive them as well. You have to leave it pressed for your teammates. If you want to revive somebody, it takes longer to do, but you can do that. So it has like this back and forth mechanic where you can revive your teammates, but also eliminate the enemy from respawning. When you die and you respawn, you basically get to select, for example, in your base, you get to select the spawn point, select it, and you keep going. So alright, so some of the game mechanics that I want to explain. So basically the game, you're basically going to be raiding an enemy base, and in this case, it has the structural walls, as you see here. So this is the structural walls, are basically going to be like their base. You get to the enemy base, they're going to have walls that are reinforced. You're going to have to knock them down, either with a rocket launcher, hammer, other weapons that you have here, or special abilities. For example, there's a character here. He has like a melee attack, and that melee attack is used, as you see there, basically you can knock down some walls, etc., etc. And there's like ultimate abilities as well. Pressing the L1 and R1 here, I'm playing here this on PlayStation 5. You'll just activate the ability, and you can basically break a bunch of walls at the same time. And different characters have different abilities. Some are defensive, some are offensive for assault, etc., etc. And you have this like melee mechanics. When walls are reinforced, as you see there, basically your weapon will bounce, so you'll have to basically take them out with, for example, like the rocket launcher you see there. Another thing you're going to have to do is mine for resources. So mining is basically that melee attack, and you're going to have this little like weird timing mechanic. It's a little weird, I actually kind of do not like it, but you can also throw the axe for certain things. The axe that you have, every character has the same kit, and you can bring it back like Kratos from God of War. Once you have different resources, you basically can go into the store, so you can basically buy different gear. For example, here I am buying rocket bullets, and that's part of the thing where you're basically going to be running around this giant map, and you're going to be summoning your horse, running around, grabbing loot, but also grabbing resources so you can get better items, so you can then basically have an advantage when you're playing. When you're playing the map, you can also reinforce your shields or your walls here. So for example, at the beginning of the game, you're going to have these charges to reinforce your walls. Use those to reinforce particularly the places you want to defend. And when the round opens, you're basically going to be running around here with the horse here. And you can summon a horse to kind of sprint, double pressing on the X button. You'll basically summon it. There's no double jump here, but you basically summon the horse. You're going to be running around getting these crystals and basically buying the different currency and armor, for example, that I'm buying here. And that's basically the loop that you start out with in terms of game mechanics. So game phases. So let's go over some of the phases for Highguard. So Highguard is basically a PvP player versus player, kind of like a arena, where you're basically first thing you do is pick a base. Different bases have different layouts, and that's part of the strategy, right? Some players might like lanes, some people might like open spaces, etc., etc. And the game starts with basically a defensive phase. Think of it like Rainbow Six Siege, where you start and you got a team that's attacking, a team that's defending. In this case, both teams are technically defending. You basically set up your walls, and then it's quick. It's like 15, 20 seconds. And then you go out to the world, and you start looking for chests to gear up. And gear up, and obviously intercept this like sword breaker thing, and then activate this so you can do the raid. That's basically it. So the gear up phase is basically when you start, you're running around opening chests, and you're finding different weapons. Do you want an assault rifle? Do you want a shotgun? You're looking for the red and blue chests. Blue gives you armor, red gives you weapons, and you're farming those crystals for the currency to also level up your gear, right? As you see. The second phase is the intercept phase. After a little bit of an opening phase where you're defending, setting up your things, and then running around, gearing up, you get the intercept phase, which is this sword spawns in the map. Whoever grabs that sword basically has to carry the sword, basically like capture the flag. Only you're capturing the flag to the enemy spawn and to the enemy base, so you can activate the raid phase. Whoever activates, grabs the sword and places it there, right there in the middle or in one of the corners, you'll be able to activate the phase. However, enemies can kill you, take it. There's only one sword for both teams. Whatever team gets to push the sword and activate the raid phase basically gets to attack, and while the other team defending. If you activate this, you basically enter the raid phase, which is basically one team is attacking the enemy base, the other one is defending their base. Here I am, for example, placing the sword so you guys can see it, and basically this giant like cat catapult thing comes out and breaks the shield. So right now we're basically in a standstill. The shields basically don't let the teams are basically setting up. Once you enter, you're gonna be attacking, and you're gonna have to place a charge. Think of it like Counter-Strike, where you place a charge in one of the places. If you place it in the middle, it takes a lot longer, but you immediately win the game. Or you place it in one of the sides like A or B, and those are usually less defended, easier to capture, faster. You basically place it, and you basically have to defend it to make sure that the charge goes off to get points. And you're basically going to be running around those phases around 2 or 3 times per match, and you're going to have different abilities, and you're going to kill the different enemies, right? And that's the basis of Highguard multiplayer aspect, right? Like the PvP, 3v3 or 4v4, and then you can get. So let's look at some of the menus real quick before I go over more details on the gameplay, just to kind of show you what the game also includes. So obviously there's a ranked. It's coming soon here. It's already out by the time I'm recording this, but I just wanted to show it. There's daily challenges, right? Like open chests, do damage with a character, standard live service daily challenges. You can figure out what it is. There's also a pass, right? Or in this case, a war chest. There's basically a pass for basically getting different character skins, and you basically buy the pass, get the different points, and you unlock the different skins, little gadgets, etc., etc. There's also quests, particularly little things like destroy 10 walls, etc., etc. And you get basically different colors of weapons, etc., etc. There's also different heroes or wardens in this game. Wardens are basically the different characters you're going to set up. Again, heroes characters, they're going to have different abilities. For example, they're going to have a passive ability, one critical tactical power or main ability, and then an ultimate. They also have different skins, as you can see there, and there's different characters that are specifically for destruction. This is the guy that showed the melee that I showed earlier. Here's a defensive player that summon walls, and I'll show that a little bit later. Recon, that basically summons an eagle to scan the area. Mara, which again I have some gameplay later on the level. For support, here's another defensive character. Scarlet, which is an assault, which is usually like stand for facing things. And here's another assault character. And obviously you can also see the different weapons. There's close quarter weapons, marksman weapons, which are for longer range. Raid weapons, which are those weapons that I showed, are for destroying those reinforced walls. etc, etc. So when you start a round, you basically select what type of base you want to have, and you're basically going to have a little introduction for the different characters. In this case, I'm doing a 3v3, and I actually prefer the 5v5, but I'll show it in a second.
I know we're both not the biggest
And we start.
fans, but
So let's look at the game. Let me show you the gameplay how it goes. So here we are, spawning, starting up. First thing you're doing is putting up the reinforcements. Here I am reinforcing A, and I'm switching over to B to also reinforce the walls there. Again, I'll skip this ahead. For example, this is the Scarlet character, that she has this sand thing where she can actually face one of those walls and just go through it. So even if something is reinforced, she can actually make it in sand and go through it. So different characters with different abilities. And you're going to be running around the open map. For example, here I am, the horse, running around, figuring things out. This is literally one of my first matches. I'm figuring out the map and the level. And here I am finding an area. I find some chests. So I basically go, and you're basically gearing up. Basically opening it up. It's like, here, there's some chest here, some additional armor. Trying to break things to see how it works out. There's a chest for weapons. Open it up. And it's like, oh, I have a SMG here, so I'm just going to grab that. There you go, perfect. And that's going to be the phase where you're going to be running around, gearing up. For example, here's where I'm using Scarlet's ability for the sand wall. And I find all these chests and loot. So I was like, be able to gear up relatively quickly. This is literally one of my first matches, so I didn't even know what to do. So I basically grab the gear, grab the currency, and I face out. And there you go. I started out pretty well for that round. So alright, so here's for example, here's a character, a teammate of mine basically grabbing the sword breaker, or the sword that basically starts the raid phase. And he's basically running around grabbing it. Once you grab it, people know where you are. The enemy knows where you are. Obviously your teammates will know where you are, but it's basically capture the flag, where you know where the flag is, in this case the sword. So the idea is to stop them from getting to your base, like we're trying to do now. And in this case, they have already activated the raid phase. The raid phase is starting, as you see at the top, in like the 20 seconds or 16 seconds now. And then I got killed there, and basically that's what you're going to be doing. Here we are attacking in this case. So my teammate has activated the raid phase. When you die, you can also upgrade yourself. So if you have currency, that's where you want to have it. You get to buy additional weapons, and you can get to spawn right there. You don't have to walk all the way back and forth. And here I am basically trying to start the raid phase. And you'll see me dying a lot in this gameplay in the background, just because I'm not feeling the first person shooting aspects a little bit here. And melee is actually pretty effective, by the way, so FYI. Here I am, defeated the enemy, and took them out and took out the souls, so that I eliminated them, so they have to respawn, so they have to wait the 15-20 seconds to respawn. And again, you're going to be running around the map, finding different enemies. Here's a 5v5, for example, so there's more players on the map. Here I am summoning kind of like an imp that kind of gives you a little bit of like support. And basically I'm trying to escape the enemies, and yes, enemies can even shoot when they're in the horses or tigers or bears, right? You can choose different animals for as for your map. And you're gonna be running around facing, for example, here I am, the enemies coming to our base with the flags. I'm basically trying to set up position above so I can start shooting at them and defend our base. And again, trying to figure it out. I probably went too aggressive there, and I went too forward. I should have stayed in the base. But that's gonna be the loop, right? You know, right now here we're on the space. Here we are gearing up. So you're gonna be running around, finding different things. There is a ping system, so you can ping things, and you're basically gonna be grabbing this currency and these crystals to level up your gear or to have currency for later down the line. And as you can see at the bottom screen here, for example, some people have purple armor, some people have blue armor like myself. That's kind of how you gear up. So you kind of want to have the best gear, more sustainability, and you deal a little bit more damage, right? You have better weapons. Here we are trying to do like an array, so we're trying to attack here. My teammate has gone down, and this player is trying to eliminate my enemy, my teammate, which he did. Again, I am missing all over the place here. Very bad gameplay here, but I still wanted to kind of show it. Where we're basically trying to attack and trying to basically eliminate them to push forward. And again, the more players, the merrier, in my opinion here. Here, for example, I am using the ultimate for this ice character. He'll summon like ice balls, like you see up there. And where he can transform into this like giant Hulk thing. He has a shield. and he has this giant snap that basically pretty good for eliminating enemies, etc. That way you can still go down pretty easily. You don't get super high mark than health. But here we are reaching another level. Here I am summoning that ice wall that I mentioned, and basically trying to eliminate the enemy in terms of like what we're gonna do. So moving along, for example, in here we are trying to defend. They are doing a siege on our base. Here, this player actually played it wrong. He should have played on the side, but I dropped him there. And in this case, I'm playing as the support character that can use and sacrifice his enemies, and she like gets additional benefits, etc., when she does that. And what we're doing to do is basically trying to clear the enemy here out, right? And in this case, we kind of push them back. We're killing them. There's one more enemy within our base, as you can see up there. So we're basically just trying to flush him out. Like, hey, eliminate them, get him out of there, so we can end the defense side where we're defending our base during this raid. When we took him out, eliminate them. There you go. Break their souls, etc. Break that, and then that's it. We have been able to successfully defend it, and the raid has ended here. Here we are, for example, fighting in a team fight right out in the open. And I remember, fight alongside your teammates, because if you die next to them, they can revive you on corners, etc. So it's a lot more tactical. It's not running around going ham, etc. Here we are. We dropped one of the enemies, and they dropped the sword breaker thing here. So I grabbed it. At this point, I'm like, I'm the one that has to start the raid. So the next objective, which you can kind of see here, is we need to go to the other side. So my teammate's good. The 5 of us are good. We have defeated them. So I'm going to try to see if I can plant the shield breaker here. I'm going to go to the side here to see if I can activate it. And again, bad decision because, again, remember, they know where you are. They can see where you are at all times. So in this case, not the bad choice. Not a good choice. However, we were able to open that phase, start the fight, and here we are at the enemy base, trying to basically win the game in one shot by eliminating the middle crystal, which again takes longer. So here we are fighting in the base, for example. Here my teammates on the other side of this wall. I need to break it. I take out the enemy, I revive him, and I basically eliminate his spawn for the enemy team. And I was able to do like good play to keep that base afloat so we can win that game. And again, you have to wait a good 90 seconds. So like you just see the timer there, 60 seconds. So holding them back for 60 seconds or 90 seconds in total is not the easiest thing in the world. Because if you die, you have to respawn all the way outside. So basically defending that, it takes its challenges. So here we are fighting, the enemy came in, we dropped her. Again, I do my sacrifice thing here, and that's basically the loop for Highguard. You're gonna be running around, doing the defense at the beginning and gearing up, then fighting for that sword breaker, or a shield breaker sword. And then once you enter and do the raid, you're gonna be basically trying to get to destroy either one of the sides, A and B, and you see the score at the top where it says 70-40. Basically, right now we're just going for the win straight up. So immediately, if you take that out, it's an automatic win. But that's the loop of Highguard. These are the multiplayer matches. Matches take around 20-some minutes. They're not short. And here I am basically trying to figure it out. And I kind of wanted to show this clip just because of the fast movement, for example. Here I am trying to give myself some shields. I take this enemy out, drop him, but then I'm being shot from the back. So immediately I drop out, go back to the horse. Look how quickly you can move around because of the horse movement. So again, those are the kind of things you kind of have to learn as you play. It's a little different in terms of some of the mechanics. But that's Highguard in a nutshell. You're going to be running around, either taking out the enemy base by taking out the different sides, or just taking them out completely, and you have a score system. But that's Highguard in a nutshell. That's the gameplay showcase for this video. But I would like to thank everybody for watching. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts, and subscribe. It is appreciated. And with that is in this gameplay overview. And have a good one, everyone.